What is up, my dudes, and that one girl at Harley HR that didn't take my resume for CEO seriously? I'm watching you, one girl. This is Bikes, Beards, and Brews. Let's kick that intro. Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Before we kick this one off, make sure you like, comment, subscribe, hit that bell notification. New videos are coming weekly. You ring that bell, you know when they drop. Let's get the other stuff out of the way. Want to save 10% on our Cardo communicator or save some money on some Beyond Riders gear or on some Hogworks gear? Then you should definitely check my referral links down below. Want to support me and all my do-gooderness like these cool guys here? Boom! Then you should become part of the Brew Crew and join the coffee page down below. Want to know why I'm asking you for money? Well, next to those 10,000 Amazon affiliate links that also go to a good cause is a link explaining what I do with your money. Get it, got it, cool, let's move on. All right, guys, so today we're going to be talking about Harley Davidson and their announcement of their new CEO. For those of you who are not aware, the previous CEO, Johann Zeitz, decided to step down as CEO. Whether it be he was kind of pushed out or he willingly and wanted to leave is still up for debate. Officially, though, he chose to step down because he was retiring, moving on, whatever. So we have our new CEO, who is Arthur Starrs. For those of you not familiar with Arthur Starrs or have not been paying attention to the internet over the last couple days, Artie Starrs has come from Top Golf, where he spent the last, give or take, 5 years as their CEO. Previous to that, he spent about 7 years as the global CEO for Pizza Hut. And previous to that, he was the CEO of a chain of movie theaters. All right, so right out of the gate, I do want to say maybe Artie Starrs does a fantastic job as the Harley CEO. Maybe he does an absolute dumpster fire as the CEO. Maybe he is middle of the road. We're not going to know until he actually gets into the role and starts to cook. So you got to give him a little bit of time. He is expected to take over in October. However, because Harley is a very large company, a lot of their roadmap is already set going into the future. So you have to give time to Artie to actually start implementing the plans that he wants to run with. For example, it's already been announced 2026, Harley is going to be releasing a sub $6,000 bike. Clearly this was decided, developed, produced, all that fun stuff before Artie was even considered or hired for this role. So you do have to separate those two. We shall see though. Hopefully he does great. Honestly, I never understood why people went after Johann Zeitz so bad. You don't want the CEO to fail because when he's failing, the company is failing. If you want Harley to succeed, you really should be trying to support Harley and trying to get them to succeed. Even all the videos I've ever done where I've just bagged on Harley, and you can go back and you can watch them maybe with a fresh set of eyes now, when I am calling them out for stuff that I find is absolutely ridiculous. At the same time, I'm also offering ideas that I feel like would be better. Now, whether you agree if they're better or not, whether Harley agrees if they're better or not, I came to the table with ideas, with things that I wanted to see, that I felt represented the Moco better. For those of you who just show up and you're like, Harley sucks, they're bombing, Johann sucks, everything sucks, and that's all you have to offer, your input's not needed. Like, it's really not. You're just kind of a dick. You're a doomsayer. Like, it's pointless for you to do that. If you want Harley to succeed, you need to try and build them up. You need to support them, maybe be a cheerleader for the company. They're not always going to do all the stuff that you like. They do a ton of stuff I absolutely hate. But you got to be that voice where you're like, hey, this is what I don't like. This is what I like. This is what I'd like to see. Let's make this happen. And then when they get enough of that, hopefully they change. Now, with that being said, I do want to dive into my concerns with this new appointment because there are a few, and I don't think anyone's really covered this. For the most part, the things that I've seen people complain about is like, he came from golf and pizza, which is a concern for me, but it's not as huge of a concern, or it might be a concern in a different way than they have presented. So let's chat about that. Now, first and foremost, I went over to Glassdoor and I pulled up Topgolf and I pulled up Harley and I did some comparisons there because I feel like that's a really good place to start. It gives you kind of like a temperature of how employees see Harley Davidson and how employees see Topgolf. And I kind of put them together and tried to see, like, is this going to be an improvement for Harley to have Artie come in and take over? First thing I've noticed is CEO approval ratings. So Johann Zeitz has a 3.3 star rating on Glassdoor, and that's voted on by past and present employees of Harley Davidson. That's, you know, kind of middle of the road, not the best, not the worst. I've definitely seen companies have much lower scores. Now, looking at Topgolf, Artie Stars has 3.4. It's really not an improvement. Not an improvement at all. We're talking 0.1 star approval rating higher than Johann Zeitz. So, I mean, culturally speaking, if you're looking at somebody who's going to reinvigorate your staff, your employees, your team, your family, maybe 0.1 star isn't that really big sort of catalyst that you think it is. Now, this leads me into looking at the reviews for Harley Davidson. Some of the top complaints for Harley Davidson from their employees over at Glassdoor are frequent restructurings and changing of direction, and top management not knowing how to run a company, which we can kind of assume that they're referring to, you brought in a sneaker salesman to run a Moco, and now you're bringing in a golf pizza baron to run a Moco. So this may be a little problematic. And from my perspective, personally, I find this to be a huge issue because the Moco is huge. There are thousands of employees within Harley Davidson. Are you seriously telling me that Harley Davidson could not find one person, just one, that had the skills, the qualities, the potential to step up and become the CEO of Harley Davidson? Why do you guys keep looking outwards and bringing somebody in versus bringing somebody up through the ranks? That is sort of frightening because either A, you are hiring the wrong people, or B, you're not paying attention to your people and looking for their potential, or C, you just don't care who you're hiring. And that leads me into my next issue, which is Harley Davidson seems to have a very hard time striking a balance when putting somebody in charge to steer this ship. And what I mean by this is your last two guys really had no history with motorcycles before you brought them in. You had a dude who was leading Puma, and now you had a dude who's coming from Topgolf. Neither of these guys seem to have any sort of history with motorcycles until they showed up at Harley Davidson. So they don't seem to really have that appreciation, that knowledge, that deep dive into the history of Harley. Now look, I get you're not going to go hire some random biker off the street to be in charge of your entire company. I get it. You need somebody with that corporate angle. But the problem is, it seems like you've only been hiring the people with the corporate angle and not the people who actually look at Harley as a Moco, as motorcycles, as like the heritage, the quality, the history. That all seems to be left by the wayside in the hopes of cranking up your stocks, sales, returns, all that, which I get that, but you're kind of losing it when you're not hiring the person that understands the product. Which goes into my next issue, which is, are you hiring Arthur because you hope he's going to be the guy who's going to start like cranking up sales, fixing your stocks, like raising those prices, getting the returns, like getting money back into, you know, your pockets? Like, is this the goal you're going for? Because if so, I'm concerned about this as well. And that is because I went over and I checked the 5-year stock history of Topgolf. And 5 years, not looking so good. it has progressively gone downwards the last few years. And it's 53% lower than it was at its highest point years back. So Artie is not showing that he is able to grow the stock value of a company. And this is a 5-year window, which is pretty much his entire time at Topgolf. So this is him driving. This is him driving, and it is just constantly going down. So again, like Harley, I don't know why you brought Artie in. Again, no issues with the guy. I did not even know of this dude until you hired him, but now I'm looking at the resume and no motorcycle history. Definitely not showing that he can grow and build a company, at least when it comes to stocks, which I know is a huge issue that the board over at Harley Davidson is looking at. I don't understand. And I don't think a lot of other people understand either. And I don't think Harley has really gone out of their ways to kind of like quell these sort of concerns with the Harley community. And that is a big miss on Harley's part as well. They really should present Arthur Stars and go, here's the guy. This is why we're hiring the guy. This is why we have the confidence in this guy. And we hope that you get behind him. Instead, they released a fairly generic, like, oh, I'm so happy to be a part of the Harley family. Like ChatGPT could have wrote this announcement. This is nothing really inspiring whatsoever. I don't know. So overall, like I said, maybe Artie is the answer. Maybe he comes in, he absolutely turns around Harley, and he does fantastic. Honestly, I want him to. I want him to succeed. I don't want him to fail because that means Harley is failing. So hopefully he does it. Hopefully he just, kicks ass, takes names. Fingers crossed. We've definitely had some dark times, but maybe this is the new renaissance. I don't know. We shall see. But where I'm standing right now, there is a lot of concern about why this is the pick. And if for some reason this pick doesn't work out, Harley, for the love of God, please look inwards. Find somebody who has a love and a passion that is in your company that also has that potential to steer this ship. And let's do it like that next time. Stop picking the most random people and bringing them in. That's what I've got. What do you got? Sound off in the comments down below. Are you happy? Are you optimistic of Arthur? Are you like, oh crap, we're screwed for another couple years? Or do you just not care? Let me know. And don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, hit that bell notification, share this video with friends, share it with family, share it with all those dudes and girls that work at Harley that would have loved to have this role and were qualified for it. They love this stuff, trust me. And I'll see you all on the flip side.